For today's cold open, as in every cold open, I would like to apologize to the people of Denmark. A fool I was, and shame on me, but in our episode when we covered Deep Rock Galactic, the board game, I said that, Deep Rock Galactic is a Swedish game.
It's not. But I'm a fool because I believed you.
Well, it's not.
I didn't even question you.
It's not entirely untrue. So the publisher of Deep Rock Galactic, the video game, is Swedish, right? Which is Coffee Stain Studios, which, by the way, owned by Asmodee. No, not by Asmodee, by Embracer, which is
the group
that owns Asmodee, or doesn't anymore, but still does.
Anyway,
finances are complicated. So when I said that Deep Rock Galactic is a Swedish game, I was referring to the publishers who are Swedish, but of course they're not the people who made the game, because the developers are Danish, and this is a very poor excuse, and I'm not trying to excuse myself. A genuine apology to all of Denmark, a country I'm very excited to visit one day. Please don't throw rotten tomatoes at me when I go there. I'm sure you won't. It'll be fine, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They seem like nice people.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Welcome to Talk Cardboard, a podcast about board games and everything adjacent, with me, Elaine, and you.
It's me, Efka, and I have a Super Mario World map.
Oh, that's true.
That you bought for me. Thank you very much. I'm here to brag on the podcast about my cool Super Mario World map, and I love it. I just wanted to say I love it. I really like it because you bought it for me, and it's awesome. It's nice. I like it. When I look at it, I feel all the feels, as they say in millennial speak, and I just get to reminisce about the game in a way that feels almost instinctual. You know, you look at it and you go, oh yeah, if you want to get to that level, you have to go under the finish, how in Super Mario World, the finish line is almost like, it's almost like it looks like a goalpost.
Yeah.
Right.
That you have to jump as high as you can.
Yeah. But you can't do that. You have to go under it, right?
Oh.
And you have to have a Yoshi, and this is just as an example, right? One of them, right? So you have to have a Yoshi, and then the Yoshi sort of you have to have a cape as well, so you can slow yourself down. So you go under it, and as you're going under it slowly, you just go underneath it, and as soon as you're underneath it, you have to jump off the Yoshi, who then plummets to his death.
Oh no!
Yeah, but no, that's what you need to do to get to the other side.
Dark.
And then you.
But you're fine.
You're fine, right? Because you jump back onto the platform, but on the other side of the goalpost, so you don't cross it, right? Mm-hmm. And then you keep on going, and there's a secret entrance to a level.
Wow.
Anyway, there's so many little things. I 100%ed.
Did you?
I did 100% Super Mario World. It was the first game I ever super 100%. Yeah, let's go with that. It's the first game I ever super 100%ed, and it felt so cool when I actually unlocked all the secrets, because I didn't have any I didn't have the internet to look things up.
So how did you know you'd 100%ed it?
Because there is a level count of how, and it's not like a level count of how many levels you've beaten, but it's a level count of how many sort of exits you found from a level.
I see.
And you 100% it when you find all the exits, right? And when you actually get it, it turns a different color.
Oh.
Right?
So
the count turns a different. Yeah, you know that you've done everything you possibly can in the game. So that was really cool, because I wasn't ever sure if but I had these hunches, and I kept trying things and trying and figuring out different things. And so that game lives in my head rent free, and just seeing an artist's rendition of that map felt like it brought back all the memories of all the little fun things I discovered. That's just one of the joys of games, isn't it? Just analyzing something to death until there is nothing left.
That's what we do. On this episode, we will be talking about rival cities. But first...
It's our work in progress. Not many games this week, but some cool ones.
But we had a different play group this week.
Yeah, which is your parents. So definitely a different play group. So as appropriate with parents, we played some parent-appropriate games, starting with our new...
That's a weird way to put it, but yeah, okay.
Well, you know, like something that's not going to overwhelm people who are not used to playing all the meaty Euro games, you know. Hey, Elaine's dad, here's Gaia Project.
My parent-appropriate games.
Yeah, your parent-appropriate games. So instead of Gaia Project, we played Sausage Sizzle.
We did.
And it was good fun. It was easy to explain. So it's like, hey, you roll dice. This is what you want to get. This is why you want to get it, right? But, and here's the thing with Sausage Sizzle, is it is a push your luck game because you can go for the safe score of like, oh, I'll just try to collect 5s, but you could go for the sausages.
My mum got the 28, which is the maximum score that you can get all sausages and all the same animal. She did that.
It's pretty cool. I got a 21 and I felt pretty good about that. But the thing that's weird about this game is like, so the way it works, if you're not familiar, is that like sausages is the highest scoring number, but like it only if all your rolls are sausages, and it's a dice game that's reminiscent to Yahtzee where you roll all the dice, but you have to keep one and then you can roll the others again. And so going for all sausages is the same odds as going for all 5s.
It doesn't feel like that though, does it? Mm-hmm. My dad said, why did the sausages run out? Because like all of us, you know, in the first roll or maybe the first 2 rolls, we would get like 3 sausages. Yeah. And be like, okay, this is definitely what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then
a sausage round.
And the sausage round. And then we had, you know, 6 dice left or whatever. And so 6 chances to roll another sausage. And yet nary a sausage came up again. Like it was really weird. He was like, why did they run out? It felt like that.
The other thing I liked about it, and every time we played Sausage Sizzle, it's the same thing. Like, you weirdly feel like you cheer the other people on as well. Yeah, for sure. You know, like, sure, you want to win, right? But anytime anyone is making rolls, you kind of get involved and you get excited for them because it's so unlikely that it comes up good. So everyone wants it to come up good. I don't know. It's a fun game. I really liked it. But what I liked more was Reiner Knizia's Fruit Fight. So this is part of CMYK's new Magenta line. And the reason it's the Magenta line is because all of the blocks is, why not? They're
magenta. A
flat magenta color. And I have some thoughts about that. But none of my thoughts are as good as what your dad said, which is, it hurts my eyes.
I literally can't look at it. That's what he said.
And I'm like, that pretty much sums it up. It is such an ugly color. It is.
I like the color.
Yeah.
But it is incredibly, it's like a highlighter pen.
I know that you do. I don't understand why. It's like someone vomited Pepto-Bismol, but
it's not. You keep saying it's not. Pepto-Bismol is pale pink. It's luminous pink. Like if someone's seen a bottle of Pepto-Bismol and then they'll go, oh, it's that color, is it? They're not going to understand why my dad can't look at it. Like that's pale pink.
Right. Okay. So pale pink is already when everyone talks about the Pepto-Bismol color, they talk about it as a strong color, but it is pale pink. Whereas this is worse.
This is like a highlighter, yeah. No, I like it. It's a cool color.
It's so garish.
So you don't want like the next car we get to be that color, or the next paint pot I get to be that color, no?
Thank you. No. And also, like out of CMYK, why did they have to pick the M, right? I get it that it's like a brand thing.
What, cyan, magenta, yellow, black?
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Like, you know, I don't know. I get it. That it's bold. It is bold. Anyway, Fruit Fight. It's pretty good. I really like it.
Talking of games that have you cheering other people on, I think that's another one. And so it certainly was when we've played it. The couple of times that we've played it with my parents and when we played it with our friends in the past. Like, you are cheering each other on. You are pushing each other to take cards.
Right, but there's a duality there because unlike in Sausage Sizzle, the results of your opponent do not impact your own. Like in Sausage Sizzle, the results of your opponent do not impact your own results. Whereas here, it very much does, right? So you are sort of cheering them on, but at the same time, because you can't believe the foolishness of the person doing the bravery. But at the same time, there is this element of just like, no, stop, please stop, because if it all goes right for you, it all goes wrong for me, right? So it's a game where you keep drawing cards until you bust, right? There's a deck of cards. Once the deck runs out, and that's it. And it's like various fruits, and they have values from 1 to 10, right? And the point of it is to basically draw some cards that have high values, and then pass the turn. And by the time the turn comes back to you, if you still have them in front of you, then you score them as points. But the problem is if someone draws the same fruit that you have in front of you, they get to steal your fruit.
And anyone else that has that same fruit.
Yeah, exactly. But also, if anyone ever draws a duplicate, they bust. There is this sort of like little not bust line, which is if you have 3 cards or less, you don't bust. But in any other situation, you just bust. So it is a game of pushing your luck, right? Because every draw could mean that your score goes from like 40 to 0, right? In an instant, which is very funny.
Which has happened.
Yep. And you like, even if you have the 40, it's not guaranteed because, someone has to steal none of it for it to still be 40. But 40 feels like a lot because, the winning score can be like, over 100. So 40 to 0 is not insignificant. And so it's just this very silly game
which again, my mum was really good at.
Well, yeah, clearly, we're not good at games. It's your mum who should be reviewing board games, right?
She's very good at like pushing her luck just enough to get the thing she wants. She's so good. I don't know. Is that a skill? I guess, right?
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, no, she won all the games.
She's very good at maths though. That's the thing. She is good at maths. So it's probably her brain like without us knowing, doing the calculations of, well, I've seen these cards come out, like almost like a count. Like, it's likely that this card isn't going to come out, or even if this card does come out and I bust or whatever, it's okay because, I've already got enough points here for it not to matter so much, because the points I've got in front of me that I would bank is not that worth it. Like, yeah, I think those calculations go on in her head. So she's very good at these, but we had a lot of fun.
And it's nice to see that there is scope in such a silly card game for that kind of thinking, because I certainly noticed myself going, okay, how many 10s have we seen, right? Because there's probably not that many in the deck. I could probably, draw another one or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it. And Fruit Fight is for me the more fun out of the two games.
When my dad said, right, round 2, like double or nothing, like after we played the first game. Yeah. So he enjoyed it too.
There was no round 2 of Sausage Sizzle because I think Sausage Sizzle, it takes about as long as 2 games of Fruit Fight, right? So there is definitely that kind of like, well, we've played enough of that. Whereas with Fruit Fight, it felt like, yeah, I could go for another one. And I'm kind of glad your dad said that, because I was like, yeah, I'll play another game of this, So, all in all, great family time with 2 great silly little games. And then after family time was done, we played a not very silly game, and definitely more on the thinky side. We played a game of Core of Discovery. 2 games for me. I played a tutorial training mission, and then we played a proper game of it together. So before I say anything else, there is a lot to talk about Core of Discovery's original title, which was Manifest Destiny, and why they changed it. It's based on a graphic novel called Manifest Destiny. It's not like, it's not just a plain title. It's used in critique, but there's so much to say here, and I am not shying away from this. This is definitely a discussion that's going to be had at some point, but not in the work in progress segment.
No.
So we're just parking that for now, okay? And just going to talk some impressions of this weird game that we've played. So this is from Off the Page Games, who are a board game publisher that is focusing on adapting various comic books into board games. Their first game was Mind MGMT, which I thought was genius, and I really loved it. A really, really strong start, excellent production, gorgeous artwork, which I guess comes given with the properties, you know. Then it was Harrow County, which was strange, off-kilter. It didn't quite work for me, but I could see the appeal of it, definitely. It's a game for someone, it just wasn't for me. And so this is the third one, Core of Discovery, a cooperative logic deduction game that is themed around the Lewis and Clark expedition. And once again, very strange, not quite like anything else that I've played. I think, if just not a fair comparison, but just to get people in the ballpark area of what this is like, if you take The Search for Planet X and combine that with Robinson Crusoe, the Portal Games game, you are somewhere sort of in the vicinity of what this game is. So each game you will be picking a scenario. There are 6 different scenarios and a training tutorial. And within those scenarios, there's an internal rule set within each scenario. And there's also like a folder with a bunch of maps that you're not meant to look at. You're meant to cover it up with a blank white sheet. And then you're slotting it in this sort of like dual layered cardboard or wooden, depending on the deluxeness of your edition, kind of board that has little cutouts, and then you cover up those cutouts. Then you take out the white sheet, the blocking sheet, and then as you progress through the game, you are taking off like those covered up tokens one by one to reveal symbols, and the symbols have effects, but they also have rules how they are adjacent to other symbols. So based on those rules, you can sort of deduce what symbols are hidden and which path you want to pick to uncover other things, because all of that is tied to this strange survival game where the symbols are resources that you pick up, and you need certain sets of resources to complete these challenges, because if you don't have those resources, then you lose even more resources, and then you lose the game eventually if you run out of certain types of resources at certain times. Plus you have various objectives you need to complete. Those also need resources. And so you're kind of just deducing things. So that's a big, as succinct a big picture as I could give in this work in progress segment. So I hated the training mission with a passion. It did not work for me. I did not enjoy it at all. It was a truncated rule set, but also because of that, it didn't get to show off how the game shines. And it was also clearly made for one player to be played solo. You could do it together, but I don't think there'd be much fun in that, because the game for the training mission doesn't even let you have like multiple characters. Just this one character, one piece of gear, do this training mission, and then half the symbols that you would normally find are not there. So just ignore that these rules exist. The rulebook was very bad. I strictly did not enjoy the rulebook. But then I went through all of that and we sat down. Can I hear some of your impressions of how you felt about it?
I want to say first that I like the artwork a lot. I thought it was very nice. Is it the same as in the comics. Is it the same artist?
I believe so.
Yeah, so it's very well done. Everything is clear because, it would make a big difference if it was difficult to figure out what things meant. Like the iconography is done well. So you don't get confused as to what is where, like what will lead to what. So I appreciated that. I didn't have a bad time playing with you, and I'd like to play more scenarios to find out how this game works, because it is a logic puzzle, and I think that maybe I didn't feel that fully, because a lot of it felt like luck, and I wonder if that's because we weren't quite used to the systems yet. And I think that if we play it more, we will get more used to so because, like, for example, there was it said there are 3 at least of each type of terrain, and a type of terrain could be a food terrain, like it's not, it doesn't have to be a land terrain, or a resource terrain, and there was one point where we thought we were going to lose, and I just took a punt on something, and it turned out to be the right thing. And then after, when we we tried to figure out what was under everything that wasn't uncovered yet, and we realized that maybe we could have logicked that it was likely there was the terrain that we needed, because there were only 2 of them already revealed. So one of the very few that we hadn't uncovered had to have been the one that we needed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So maybe ultimately you can kind of figure that out better before you...
Slightly more reliably than just guessing. Yeah. I will say that my initial impression of the game, aside that training mission that I just abhorred, I really did not like it. Once we jumped into this actual game, I enjoyed the game quite a lot more. It is interesting, and it is different and off-kilter. But having said that, so it's very difficult, right? The difficulty is pitched high because you have to have it work as a survival game, and you have to have it work as a deduction game. So the two are very tight together, right? At no point do you feel like the game is letting you loose and just letting you like explore. It's not an exploration game. It is a do or die game, right? So that felt kind of interesting, but I was wondering at one point if the difficulty is masking that maybe the deduction isn't that particularly interesting. It's not that it's hard or that it's easy, and it was certainly hard, and it did force us to make guesses, sometimes because we were unfamiliar with the system or the nuances of the logic deduction more so. And sometimes I feel like we still just had to guess, and no matter how well we knew the ins and outs, I feel like there are a lot of 50-50s inherent within this.
Yeah.
But what I found, at least in my first play, I just didn't get these like aha moments as much as I wanted to that I get in other logic deduction games, like say the Turing Machine or Search for Planet X. You get these like yeah, of course, because this that.
We did get that once with the wood, we said, okay, this has to be wood, because the way wood works is there is, or in the scenario we played at least, there is only one wood in each column and row. Yeah.
So and there are 7 columns and rows.
So we figured out that this must be wood here, because we've already revealed a wood here and a wood here. Yeah. So the ones that are not revealed can't be wood. It
was sort of more nuanced than that, because we found 3 wood and we knew exactly where the 4th wood was, but because of that, we could then figure out the exact spots where the other 3 wood were on the map.
Yeah.
And that was like, we just found a lot of information just by looking, and it was that like logic deduction aha moment, right?
So there was that.
There was that, but I don't know. Like, I feel like I sometimes get more reward from a Sudoku puzzle. Do you know what I mean? This game was very frugal in terms of giving me that like that hit of like working things out. It was more like, well, you get a little tidbit of information, and maybe somewhere down the line, some glimmer, will emerge. But it wasn't. And part of it is that we are new, but also my answer to that is always, well, games are meant to be, I don't know what the message of this game is yet, and that's maybe a broader subject for a later date, but like there didn't seem to be this sort of, I don't know, like hit of like the appeal of the logic deduction. I don't know if it's trying to subvert that. I doubt it. But yeah, need to play more.
Before we move on to our main feature, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has written to us at elaine@nopunincluded.com to say they are happy that the podcast is back. We haven't got any questions this week, but we have had a lot of lovely emails saying that people are glad the podcast is back. So that's been really nice to hear. So thank you very, very much for that. And also, I was looking through just to make sure I hadn't missed anything from when we were doing the podcast before we had the break. And there were a lot of emails about food in board games, which is a question that I asked some time ago. So thank you for all of those edible board games and things like that. That was a lot of fun to read. And also thank you to everyone that mentioned that their libraries or their game clubs have a lending library for games. There were quite a few more in England, in Britain, in Europe, that people mentioned in emails. So I do appreciate you letting us know about those. And one day I think I would quite like to, if it hasn't already been done, is put together a whole list of places that lend out board games. I think that'd be quite fun to do.
I guess to further than the call for if you know of a place near you and you haven't written in yet to Elaine that lends out board games, please do let her know.
Maybe make like a geek list or something of
that'd be cool.
Of places. Let's talk about our main game for this episode, which is Rival Cities.
I bought this sight unseen, and I don't usually do this, but maybe it was because I'm on a Hunter Teutonica kick lately. And it's just like, an address steading 2-player game. Sign me up, right? I forgot that I've not really enjoyed any other Andreas Stedding games. I didn't play that many. I didn't love Stauffer Dynasty. I frankly found Gugong to be so unmemorable. I couldn't explain a single, like I couldn't recall a single mechanism from that game, right? So sometimes it's not all hits. Do you know what I mean? And this cute, charming, well-produced, intriguing, compelling little 2-player game, in the end, ended up being a miss for me, which is a little bit sad. But there's a lot to talk about, so let's go over it, right?
It is a lovely looking game. You're right. It's very well produced. And what you are doing it's a 2-player only game, and you're playing Hamburg versus Altona. And you're playing these kind of little tug of war elements, different elements, and you're going around doing various different actions to do these tugs of war. So you're trying to have people on your side. You're trying to get boats. You're trying to win these like lawsuits. Thank you. I couldn't remember the word suits. All those sorts of little things to try and either immediately win the game. There are various ways you can immediately win the game, or if one of you doesn't immediately win the game, to get these little star tokens and have the most stars out of the both of you.
I just find the concept of two warring cities who are warring for who will be the city so compelling. It's almost like, two twins in a womb and one of them eats the other, right?
Wow, that went dark.
Yeah, well, it is dark. It is dark because one of these gets to be a city and then the other one doesn't, right? And now we know the sort of like dark history of Hamburg. Right? Yeah. What do you call it? The background, right? Right. Yeah, character background.
The backstory.
Yeah, the backstory. So yeah, it's just like, well, we have Hamburg, but at what cost? Altona is the cost.
Who's heard of Altona?
No one, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's how that came about, apparently. Hamburg ate Altona.
Which is funny, isn't it?
Because normally you eat the Hamburg.
Anyway.
So yeah, that to me is compelling. And the whole kind of tug of war thing is compelling. It follows the mechanism that many people will know as rondel, where you have a wheel of actions.
It's a square
taped around.
It's not a wheel, but a square of actions. Yeah,
sure, but functionally it is a wheel. Because rondels are round, so just because they make them square,
a square L.
Yeah. Let's go with square L. There's this square L where you can technically go as far as you want. You can't really. You can go as far as you want, but anything you don't go on, you skip these actions, right? It's like,
for everyone.
For everyone, yeah. So the Tokaido or whatever, same principle mechanism. But yeah, there's just one action piece that both the players move. So it's not only you not taking these actions, but it's you denying these actions to your opponent. Player. And denying them is pretty important because there are a lot of sort of competing victory goals, like you said, that any of them could immediately end the game for either player. So one of the goals is buying ships, and to have ships, you need resources. To have resources, you need to buy factories and also land on the spots that produce the resources. So there's already a little puzzle there. How do I get,
Right, it's almost impossible to collect enough resources without activating the factories to double the resources, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. So there's this little puzzle there. But also you need the resources for lawsuits, because if you win 3 lawsuits, you also win the game, right? But lawsuits, only one gets passed at the end of every round. However, there is another spot that could pass a law early, but also you need to advance on these lawsuits because there's a little tug of war on the lawsuits themselves that go in either way.
And they give you resources when you advance their lawsuit, yeah.
Exactly. Then there is the another tug of war, which is this heart track, which just goes from Altona to Hamburg. And the more you are on one side, the more likely you're going to get resources at the end of the round as a kind of an income bonus. So you need to advance on that. And finally, there's these 4 cards that have special abilities effectively, but you need resources to pay for them at upkeep. And
they're free to take, but then you have to have a permanent resource drain.
They give you powerful exceptions, right? But again, if you have all 4, you win the game. But also, if you don't have all 4 and there are none available, you can pay this extra expensive super resource that you could steal then from the other player the card. And so there's so many ways the game can be won, and the game is effectively managing yourself to be good enough at one of these things so you can snatch the victory, but also not so bad that the opponent can race you on a different one and snatch it from you. All of this tied up in this rondel system where there is only one piece on the rondel and you both move it. So that's neat. But then on top of that, you have these cards that are on the board. So normally when you land on a space, it's a card that says you just do this thing that's on the card. But there are these special spaces with special cards that you get to pick up that you don't get to do immediately. You just land on the space, you pick up the card physically, right? But then on a future turn, when you land on a different space, instead of doing what the space says, you get to spend the card. And the card is usually better. And not only is it better, it gets to dictate the thing that you can do. Because if you picked up the card now that lets you purchase a ship, let's say you don't have the resources to purchase the ship, it's fine, you can bank it. And then later, because you need to have 3 more ships than your opponent to win, let's say you have 1 more ship, right? But you have a whole bunch of resources. You land on a space that lets you buy a second ship. And then it doesn't matter anymore where your opponent goes or how far they take it, because you have the card that lets you buy the third ship, right?
And if you spend an Uber resource, which is the letter, you can do the action that you've landed on and play a card and do the action on that card. So you could win very quickly.
Yes. So it's a weird little game that has that sort of same vibe as Watergate, like a 2-player game that is a whole bunch of tugs of war, right? But I didn't like it.
No.
Yeah, and it's weird because mechanically this game is very well developed. It's very well done. There's a lot going on, and it feels like there's a lot to learn and a lot to master. But there is this strange element of the game that, like, it cuts so sharp at the end. Do you know what I mean? Like, it goes from, like, we are sort of building up, and when the gears change, when you see that, like, it's inevitable for someone to reach the end unless you stop them, the game has this weird switch where suddenly it's not about, like, building up anymore. It's about cauterizing the wound as quickly as you can. And you don't play the game anymore. You are just trying to stop the bleeding. And oftentimes you cannot stop the bleeding.
No, that happened in our games where as soon as you saw that I could win, it was too late. And as soon as I saw that you could win, it was too late. There was nothing because we spoke about it. Like, was there something that either one of us could have done to stop that? And the answer was no. Because
but it comes so the thing that's weird about it is that it comes so abruptly, right?
Well, because I think you're spending so much energy and brain power thinking about, okay, I need these resources for this, these resources for this. Oh, and I've got my upkeep costs for these cards, whatever, right? That the other person has, spiraled ahead in some way and you haven't realized.
It's worth also noting here that in all of our games, we have always won in the same way. It was always these I can't remember.
I don't remember what they're called, but they're like landmarks.
Yeah, it's so they're like these. You have to have all of the cards, and there's 4 of the cards, and you can steal the card from your opponent, right? And they give you like special exceptions, or for example, when you produce cloth, you produce an extra cloth, or like when you have a spot that lets you do one of 2 possible actions, you can do both actions, right? So they're already good to have. And every time the game was won, it was won via that victory condition, the same victory condition. And it felt like it wasn't even close because, again, it doesn't cost anything to take them apart from, like, if you need a letter, right, to steal another one from your opponent. But it is such a weird kind of mechanism where, especially because, like, the spots on the game board are randomized.
Yes.
Sometimes, like, there is nothing you can do to stop an opponent from not grabbing too many of these. Without burning yourself out from resources so much that you're basically not playing the game yourself.
Because basically, if you get all 4 in one round, you never have to play up. You never have to pay upkeep.
Well, I mean, if you get all 4 in one round, you already won. But They're free to take, basically.
Yeah, they are free to take, and you don't have to worry about having the resources to pay for them, to keep them, to then build and get another one and get another one and get another one. If you have taken the advanced cards that let you do that extra action, if you've managed to get the envelopes, but I guess there's a lot of ifs in that.
Well, there is a lot of ifs, but I think what's interesting is that, again, the game changes as soon as one player gets 2, right? If one player has managed to get 2, let's say on the first round, and then the other player like didn't have any because there's only so many spots that let you take them, right? And again, how much are you willing to sacrifice your own engine to kind of cauterize this immediate win condition? And that's why I say that's what I mean when I say that the game switches gears so abruptly.
Oh, it does, yeah.
Right? Because a lot of the game is telegraphing, hey, build up a little bit, like a little engine, right? And play smart, pick your spot smart and all of that, because there's definitely a metagame within that. Because, okay, so you can move the rondelle piece like 2 spaces for free, but then the third space is a resource, the fourth space is a resource, and then every space after that is 2 resources. So you haven't got that much leeway in how far you move the rondelle piece, right? And there is sometimes only so much mitigation that you can do without completely destroying your own engine, right? So, yeah, it feels like such a weird mechanism in a game to, like, where one win condition technically costs you nothing. And I'm sure, again, I don't want to talk about this from like a balance perspective, because I'm sure that there is a balance within all of this.
Yeah,
I'm sure that whoever designed and developed this game has playtested it so much that they know that in the end it shakes out, right? Okay.
Like there are fewer advanced cards that give you that spot and more advanced cards that would give you like a boat purchase opportunity or something, which is harder to get the resources for.
Yeah.
But then maybe there's more opportunity to actually buy the boats, for example. Yeah. Exactly. I know what you mean.
So I'm not talking about this from like a balance thing, right? I am talking about this from a player experience thing, where it's weird to have a lot of the game telegraph one thing and then have this one element which is like, by the way, there's this like really easy way you can instant win. As soon as like one player makes a misstep, that's fine. You've already won, right? Like, oh, okay, cool. Strange.
The only thing that I completely agree with you. The only thing that I would say that mitigates that slightly is that those advanced cards do seem to have quite a lot of envelopes on. So it's easier to steal that card from someone else rather than having to build up the resources to get 3 more boats than someone else. It's maybe easier to ultimately to get an envelope and to then steal something. I don't know. I don't know.
And partly I suspect maybe that, this is very player dependent. Like maybe if you have someone in your life who you like to play 2-player games with, where you are both so equally sharks and vultures, like that, like you will, like inch out every single step, and like a misplay will be very rare. It will be very, very tight. But I think if you play just a little bit looser, and I think we both do, sometimes we let the reins go.
Yeah.
And as soon as you let the reins go in this game, it is game over, right?
Yeah, I think if you can plot out well what resources you're going to be potentially getting and how you can stop the other player from getting those things, and maybe use a round to build up so you've got loads of resources, and then I don't know. Yeah,
and you're both like that, right?
Yeah, maybe there's ways that you can do that. Maybe there's ways you can make it not feel quite as, oh no, oh no, you're winning. You're definitely, because one of the games we played, I thought I am doing very badly here, because you were inching along on all of the tracks, right? You were doing like fairly well and I was doing well on none of them. And then suddenly I thought, okay, well, if I go here and here and here, somehow, if the gods smile down on me and I manage to take these 3 spaces, I could potentially win this, and I did. So, but then that's kind of almost feels like a trick, that I've pulled out from my sleeve. I don't know. It does end very abruptly. The first game we played, you said all of them have ended that way. The first game we played ran itself out and we counted the amount of stars that we had.
The very first game though was standardized setup, where you play with the setup and then the setup is randomized every time. So the action spots were in a particular like array that maybe is more optimal for the game.
Yeah, maybe.
But we never played that again because we were like, what's the point in playing the same thing out over and over? I don't know. Yeah.
I guess it feels like a different puzzle every time, which is a good thing.
It is definitely a good thing, yeah.
You're not going to get used to, like, you're not going to be able to sort of count how many spaces the exact, like, optimum, way to move is.
Exactly, right? Yeah, and so there's a good game in there, definitely, and one that feels sharp and tight and smart, and this is by no means a bad game. I just didn't like how it shakes out.
I'd rather play Watergate, though.
Yeah, I would rather play Watergate or like any number of many excellent 2-player games already out there. A Lord of the Rings, Duel for Middle-earth, right?
Well, I mean,
like that game is also so very sharp and smart, but the rhythm and the cadence of it feels so much more natural and so much, like twistier and intriguing. And
yeah, it's also, if you're going to bring that, I mean, let's not compare that because but if you're going to bring that up, one of the benefits of that was how smooth and how well it flowed. And I think this has a lot of fiddly bits in it, because you need to learn what all the icons do, or you don't have to learn them, but then you're referring to the rule book all the time as to what the icons do. So it's harder to kind of plan out your moves because you're like, well, what does that one do? And how does that one work again? And certainly the lawsuit is quite fiddly. And physically fiddly.
Yeah,
too.
moving the little cubes and stuff like that. Yeah, there's just a lot of fiddle in this box, and the player experience from that perspective isn't great either because it's like, I have to manage these cubes, I have to move around these pieces. There's just a lot going on, and it's something like Duel for Middle-earth. It's just like lay out some cards, done, you're going right, and then it's fun right from then on. Whereas here it's just like, move this piece here and then this, and then there's these 7 steps at the end of every round.
Yeah, and I think also it's less obvious. I don't know why it feels less obvious how well the other person is doing because it's in front of you. You can see what they're doing. But I guess because you're looking at the resources. Can they pay for what they have? Can they pay the upkeep? Do they have the resources to buy a boat? Do they have the resources to push forward the lawsuit? Might they win the lawsuit? What resources are they going to be getting from the lawsuit? Do you know what I mean? There's lots of like Whereas in Duel for Middle-earth, it's much clearer where each other is on,
and so much more tense immediately because of that.
So much more tense, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah,
you're not doing maths the entire time.
Yeah. So in summary, is it sharp? Yes. Is it smart? Yes. Is it intriguing? Sort of.
Does it look good? Yes.
Yes. But is it great? No.
Does it fit back nicely in the box? Oh my, yes. There are 4 boxes, 4 little cardboard boxes that slide out. You can keep the resources in them, on the table. They slide back nicely into each other and they go back in the box perfectly. I appreciate that.
All valid points. It just didn't, the cadence didn't go as I planned. It was like, yes, but no, right? And then you were like, but here's another good point. I was
okay. Sorry.
No, it's all right. It's all part of the podcast entertainment experience.
Is it?
I think so, yeah.
Was that entertaining? I don't know. Anyway.
My suffering was at the end.
I see, yeah. I don't think it's necessarily a game that is going to stick on our shelves forever.
No, it's not, because you said, I'm happy to get rid of it now. So I know it's not going to.
Yeah, it's a shame. It was very nicely done, and there's a good game in there somewhere, but not
quite in the pantheon of 2-player greatness, right?
Right. That was Rival Cities, and that is all the games that we have for this episode. If you have anything to say about any of the games in this episode, email me, Elaine@nopuниncluded.com.
And if you want more episodes of Talk Cardboard, there are some bonus episodes on patreon.com/nopunincluded, where you can find all the bonus episodes that we've recorded for the podcast so far. But also, last week we had a bonus episode on Morrison Game Factory, which is a neat little escape room that did one thing really, really well. So if you want to hear more about that, head to patreon.com, no pun included, find more episodes there. But you have to pay money, sorry.
But also, you will get access, if you become a Patreon member, to our lovely Discord server.
Which is a very cool community of people who enjoy board games.
And with that, why don't you say goodbye, Efka?
Goodbye, Efka.
Goodbye, Efka.